Hi, this is Captain Paul with Fish Finder Guide Service. Today we're going to be starting south of Bird Island Basin in the area that's known as the Big Cove, right in here. You're going to be taking off on the east shoreline, fishing in the westward direction, hopefully with a southeast wind. What I would do in that area is throw croakers on a number 7 cowhook, free lining them. You're going to be looking for some really nice speckled trout. You want to stay in about 3 foot of water, so a little tighter to the drop. And then if you have any people that want to wade, all of these sandbars back in here, all of the sand, all in these areas will really have a lot of reds moving up and down them on high tide. You can get up there and those reds go right down those sandbars. A lot of fun to sight cast those using gold spoons, any kind of lures. You could even carry a little pocket of shrimp, throw shrimp to them on a jig head. That area seems to have a lot of nice reds kind of cruising through there looking for bait. I haven't seen the drums show up there yet, but I'm expecting them to at any point in time. But that area seems to hold quite a few reds up on the sand and a lot of really nice trout. I mean, there'll be boats running right down that shoreline, and you just catching the trout right in their wake. Really nice trout up and down that area where Big Cove is. If you come across from Big Cove and you hit the backs of any of these spoils right here, you can really look for some nice redfish, black drum action, pick up maybe a flounder or two in any of those sand holes. I'm using popping cork and shrimp on the windy days behind those islands, and I'm using just shrimp on jig heads in the sand holes trying to pick up some flounders. That area seems to be holding some pretty good fish also. Okay, we're going to move a little further south. We're going to be looking at this long sand that runs right here that separates the meadows from Nighthawk, and in particular behind this little island right here. You're going to be going after trout off the drop on that side using croakers. I don't recommend using piggy perch this far south. You probably won't get too many bites on piggies. You may, but I would say croakers would be the money shot right there. Using number 7 kell hooks, free lining them. Behind this island right here on a windy day, there should be reds stacked up and down that island. Really nice area if you're going to get out and wade, or if you stay on the boat throwing popping corks and shrimp behind that island. Make sure the wind's blowing. I like the wind to be blowing at least 20 to be fishing behind that island. You'll notice there's a bunch of like posts and sticks sticking up. Anywhere throwing up to those even really works good for reds. That area seems to be really holding them. Over here, if you come straight in from there, this shoreline right here has been holding some nice speckled trout. I'm not exactly fishing the shoreline. I'm off in the 3 foot of water, throwing towards sand holes there. Also using croakers. I would say I'm probably 200 yards off of King Ranch right in there. And you're looking for sand holes, and look on your GPS, make sure you're in about 3 foot of water. That seems to be the key for some trout. You can try a little tighter up against the island for redfish, but I have not tried it this year. I know of a couple of people who've gotten them, although they were just a little bit more in this area right in here. It doesn't mean they're not going to be right there. They could be a little bit further north, but it's something certainly worth at least trying 10 or 15 minutes on. Okay, we're going to move south into the meadows. It's no great secret that there were a bunch of black drum in here and redfish. Yes, they have moved on since the tide we got from the hurricane that went into Florida. They're no longer here. We're going to be looking a little further out on this drop right here. Be fishing for trout using croakers. And then if you wanted to move over to the backside of these islands, You could try cut bait anywhere up and down these islands and around these piers to try to pick up some redfish. There are also some really nice trout. However, I would recommend wade fishing with croakers behind the island if you want to pick up trout, because they seem to really be spooky in that area. There have been some really nice ones caught, 25 plus range back there, people waiting, moving on all of this gut here. Maybe in about 3.5, 4 foot of water, you'll look for speckled trout all on this east side of the meadows. If you come around and come over onto the wall of rocks, which is right here, if you're fishing, I would try using popping corks and shrimp in there, but be very careful as it is adjacent to the Badlands, and there are many scattered rocks through there. Most of them are deep. I've never had a problem there, knock on wood. But you could have a problem. Just be very careful. Do not get too close to the wall of rocks. You're going to want to fish up to it with popping corks and shrimp in that area. The water is almost always off-colored. You'll always see bait in there. You know there's some good trout, some good redfish, and possibly some black drum in that area. Anyway, that's area can hold really nice fish. I've had 2 separate customers catch 32-inch trout, 31-inch trout in that area right there. Anyway, we will start moving a little further south. All right, we're going to move further south into Yarborough, and we're going to be looking right here on this bar drop right through there, this little area, looking for schools of redfish, scattered redfish, possibly black drum. I recommend wading in that area. You're going to get off on those sandbars. You're going to be in about, I don't know, probably thigh-deep water. Throw your croakers in there. You can throw cut bait, live shrimp, and corks. There's been a lot of reds up and down that area. The reds will extend a little further into this pocket, but they get more scattered. It seems like right in here they're more concentrated. I would definitely give that a whirl using popping corks and shrimp. That would be my number 1 there. Number 2 would probably be croakers. Seems to be a lot of reds right in that area. If you come across onto Rocky Slough, up and down Rocky Slough, there have been some scattered schools of black drum. You're going to want to go through there and try to be up on an elevated platform, a front casting tower, on your burn bar, and you're going to be looking for those drums to be floating. You're going to want to try to throw with a real light jig head, like a 1/16 ounce jig head, live shrimp or dead shrimp to them. I do believe they respond better to live shrimp, but there is quite a few groups. I would say 15 to 25 drums per little wad, and they're just moving up and down that shoreline. Once again, let's be courteous to each other. Be mindful of what's going on. Only keep the fish you need, and handle everything with care. You guys have a great fishing trip.